Welcome on in, folks. This is Sprues and Studs, and surprise, surprise, we have yet another action figure to review. And this time the action figure was actually chosen by you, the audience, to review. As a man of my word, I fulfilled your request and got the action figure you most wanted me to review. And that action figure is the Primaris Ultramarines Captain. So without further ado, let's jump right into the review. Opening him up. Unwrapping the goods. Pretty cool sword. All right, ahead of you folks is the action figure in its full glory. And again, just to give you a little bit of, well, history behind me, I am a miniature painter, so I'll focus in a lot of details with regards to the paint on this action figure. And that's my primary focus. So the first thing that we're going to focus on is the Captain's Power Sword, which is very unique because I don't believe that I have a power sword in my action figure collection that looks exactly like this. It almost looks like a gladiator's sword. So let's just take a look at this power sword and see what's up with it. As with all power swords, you get to see this very dark silver color, and then it's a very abrupt transition to this silver tip over here. What I prefer is a darker gunmetal color transitioning to a mid-tone, transitioning to a lighter tone. And that lighter tone is a very, very abrupt transition over here. And then looking at the power node, it looks like on one side the power node is sprayed very, very efficiently, and on the other side it's a little bit deficient. Usually when you want to see these electrical power nodes, you want to see the blue pop up from this dark area. But I would have to say overall, this is a pretty cool looking power sword. Everything seems to be in relative order in the blade area. So let's look at the hilt or handle area. So right here you get to see some bronze bleed onto the red. It looks like on both sides the shading was done efficiently enough where the eye sockets are. However, I would have liked to see some darkness in the nostrils area over here. And it looks like there are some issues over here with paint as well. And then on the other side over here, there's some more gold bleed onto the red handle. So moving on, we will look at the bolt pistol over here. And the bolt pistol follows the exact same look as all Space Marine bolt weapons. So you get to see this nice heavy silver weathering that's going on, which again I like. It adds more character to the weapon as it gives the evidence that this thing is aged. Looking at the ammo magazine down here, there seems to be not enough bronze coloring here with the bolt round, which would have been nice if they actually would have shaded this in a little bit darker. And I believe the same goes for the other side as well. And then with this area, I kind of wish that this was more of a complete silver look because there are some black edges all around over here. And then there is the holster over here where the bolt pistol would go. And the highlights, again, are super messy, as you can see over here. And as you look around over here, there's no highlights whatsoever, which I guess would make sense mainly because this is the part that's against the body. But I would like to see some highlights up here and some more highlights over here. Now let's look at the backpack and see what the backpack has to offer. There is a gold streak onto the blue. There's also some more gold streaks over here. And then if you wanted to look at the Ultramarines halo over here, it has a very tarnished look to it, which is, I don't know if they really intend on this look to be very tarnished, but it kind of makes it dull. I really like to see this stuff pop out. So if they didn't shade it, I think that would look better, but hey, that's just my opinion. And again, you can see a lot of the weathering that you would see on the bolt pistol on the silver parts on this area over here with the vents. Every single one of the Space Marine 2.0 action figures, the silver here does not fully go onto the blue area, and it's the same around the other side. And now this captain has a full cape, and by looking at this cape, it looks pretty good to me. So going on the front side or back side, whatever you want to call for this cape, it's really nice that they put the shading where the shades are supposed to be. So obviously in the darker recesses are where the shades are supposed to be. And then it gradually lightens up where the cape billows out over here. So that's really nice to see. And then flipping around over here, so there actually is some shading that's going on. So you have this lighter tan color and this darker tannish brown color that's in the recess over here, which is nice to see. And then you do see some overspray of the red onto the tan area. Looking at the head and helmet region, for some odd reason, when I'm reviewing Ultramarines action figures, I really don't understand why they need to make this white super dirty looking and dark. I usually like to see this to be a little bit lighter. I understand that there are shading involved here, but it just looks like it's really messy in terms of the color. And I know that Ultramarines are probably very meticulous about their helmets, so they should be polished, squeaky, white clean. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Regardless, looking at the painting, looks like the skull has a nice bronze color here, and it is shaded very nicely with the eye sockets. Again, they missed the shading with the nostril area. Looking at the other areas, it looks like the silver area doesn't completely cover up the white area. And then finally, looking at the lenses, it's generally pretty decent. I suppose the only thing that really bothers me is this very prominent dark spot over here right underneath the lens over here. Then looking at the pauldron itself, this is a very cool pauldron. It says Ultramar Victorious, which is very cool. So I actually do like this over here where you have this bronze area and then there's this white area that is on top and as well as on the bottom, and there's shading with the bronze area too. So looking over here, you see some white bleed onto the blue areas, but aside from that, it looks good. The bronze area on the skull looks decent. So looking at the other side of the pauldron, you have kind of a messy wreathed kind of look over here. You also do get to see some overspray from the bronze onto the white. So looking over here, the bronze portion does not completely cover this area. It is white. It's actually supposed to be bronze in my opinion, and looking underneath is much of the same. Let's take a look at the chest area. So the chest area is shaded more prominently on this side than it is over here. Great that they have the shaded eye sockets, but neglected to shade the nostril as well as the teeth area. So looking at the belt area as well as the accessories on the belt, let's see what's going on with it. So you have this fancy Roman looking loincloth here. I'm really disappointed again because this looks very dirty to me. So you have this shading that's going on over here that has literally bled onto the other areas of the red, and it just doesn't look quite right to me. And again, the shading went a little bit too far up here on the tops of this loincloth. You get to see some areas in which the bronze did not cover up the red, or the bronze bled onto the red. Then flipping around over here with the accessories, you got much of the same of the very messy highlights. So you have highlights that go all the way up top around here, but somehow disappear over here, which doesn't make sense because this is the top portion. It should be highlighted. You have very, very messy handle for the pistol. This silver should be a lot stronger in color. It should cover up the black, but is very lacking. And then focusing in lastly on the leg area, you get all this shading that's going on. Various iconographies on the knee parts of the armor look pretty clean to me. And as usual, we will look at the articulation for this Space Marine captain. It's going to be 360 degrees about the head. There's a ratcheting mechanism here around the shoulder joint, and that ratcheting mechanism is supposed to help the pose of the captain. So it's 360 here. And then about the forearm area, it is 360 degree. And then with the elbow, it's kind of a double jointed elbow where you get to bend this in one time and then you can bend it in further over here. And then the wrist area is 360 degrees. And the nice thing about this wrist area is that I think the barbell that's attached over here is a little bit longer. So the wrist actually is able to move in or out a little bit more. And obviously it's going to be the same on this side too. So about the torso, it's 360 degrees. And you also get some little bit of motion here, but this motion is slightly blocked by this area on this action figure. And then looking at the motion of the legs, you can actually kick this out 180 degrees, if not a little bit more. Most of it is blocked by these armor plates that are here. But I'm pretty sure that if you really wanted to push it, you can push it 360 degrees around this hip joint here. And then the knee area is also the same as the elbow. There's like a double jointed area, so you can click here and then go all the way back. So there's a lot of articulation that's involved that I really like with the 2.0 figures. And then with the ankle area, you can actually see there is quite a bit of motion, and there's actually a lot of stability on the 2.0 compared to the 1.0. And you can see that video in a later one. So you can pivot this around. And then finally, with the toes, every single one of the JoyToy action figures can do this. And now for the final part of this video, we get to give the captain its armaments so that he can lead his fellow Space Marines effectively into battle. So the first thing that we will do is put on the cape, and the cape goes on back here as such. And then we lock in the cape with this peg mechanism here, and it goes in pretty smoothly. I'm going to push this in a little bit. So you have this right arm over here that wields the bolt pistol. The captain has been given his bolt pistol. And then the final and most cool armament is the gigantic power sword. There we go. Let me wrap this bad boy up with my final thoughts. All right, everybody, that is the review of this Ultramarines captain. What do I think of it? Well, as usual, when I talk about the painting, it is extremely lacking. I don't really like the dark shading that's in the helmet area, as well as the shading that's down here in the loincloth area. It just looks messy and gives you like a dirty kind of feel or vibe. What I do like about this action figure, however, is basically, as I say before, its attention to detail with regards to replicating the miniature blown up to the action figure size. JoyToy does a very fantastic job of doing that, and I cannot sing enough praises because of their attention to detail. The other thing I really like is this power sword over here. I mean, this power sword looks absolutely fantastic in that it is, well, it is gigantic and literally is almost the whole entire height of the Space Marine. So it's pretty badass that he can wield this around and swing it around. The age-old question that is always asked of me is, Sprues, do you think that this is actually worth it or not? My honest answer is I'm not too sure. I mean, these action figures do come at a premium cost, anywhere between $50 to $60. I don't know if, because of the painting issues, that this is actually worth that kind of money. Regardless, despite its painting issues, it is a solid offering from JoyToy. So let me know what you think about this review, what you would like for me to improve on, if there's anything that I'm missing in the review that you would like to have me start focusing in on. And as usual, I am extremely, extremely thankful for all of your support and you watching all these videos. Without you, this channel would not be where it's at. So thank you so much for watching and for your support. And as usual, I'll see you all in the next one.